I've had people ask me, Mark, well, what do you recommend if I want to have a home gym? And I've helped people over the years to build out their dream gym and their ideal gym with the space that they have, the budget they have, and so forth, so on. So I thought it'd be interesting today to do a flavor of the day to give you some expert tips if you're thinking about building a home gym. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Brave Today podcast. The show is going to encourage, challenge, maybe even provoke you to step outside of your comfort zone and take more action so that you can improve yourself and your health. I'm your host, Mark Avens, in this crazy upside down world that keeps pushing a narrative for people to become softer, weaker, sicker, unhealthier, and more dependent than ever. The goal and intent of the show is to help you navigate through it so you can become not just braver today, but braver today than you were yesterday. Within this show, we have different types of shows. We do brave guest interviews. Basically, I just welcome in people who are not only brave, but are also helping other people become brave, just as this show is intent. Also, we do brave Q&As. We'll be answering questions you have that you want answers to, and you would like a legit answer. Mostly health, fitness, weight loss related. Honestly, any question goes. So if you have a question, the best way to do is to drop it in the comments where you watch us, maybe YouTube, or if you watch this on podcast, or if you want to just send it to me directly, info@avensfitness.com. Actually, we have another type of show. It's called the Flavor of the Day. And that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm excited to share with you about home fitness and how to set up a home gym. And I'm really excited to share with you because I'm in the process of doing that right now. But also flavor of the day, we just basically look at different diet trends, workouts, fads, pills, potions, basically breaking things like that down to that nature and giving you my honest and full opinion on those. And then we have breakthrough episodes where we kind of do a little deeper dive into more of a physical, emotional, maybe even spiritual area, any area that may be holding you back from becoming your healthiest and your best. And life is too short to not to try and pursue it. And I want to give you the tools to help you have those breakthroughs that you can become your personal best. With that, I appreciate you for joining the show. And let's get started. Today is Flavor of the day after when we recorded this, the day after St. Patrick's Day. And it's been exciting here. I'm kind of in an in-between studio. That's why it's just kind of playing background here in the process of building out my home office. And also we have a basement for the very first time living in Florida. For over 20 years, we lived near the sea and there was just sand. So we didn't have a basement. There's no basements in Florida, but here in Colorado, where we moved about 4 months ago in our new home, we do have a basement now. The way it works at a lot of builders, they come with unfinished basements. So there's just basically an open space. And we're in the process of building out my home office where I'll have my podcast studio and my office studio, as well as home gym. Really excited to be building a dream gym. Can't wait to share with you more about that. But actually, as I've been building it, questions have come up. I've had people ask me, Mark, well, what do you recommend if I want to have a home gym? And I've helped people over the years to build out their dream gym and their ideal gym with the space that they have, the budget they have, and so forth, so on. So I thought it'd be interesting today to do a flavor of the day to give you some expert tips that I can help you if you're thinking about building a home gym. Now, again, on all different budgets. And I can't say that I've actually had space for the gym. The last house we were in was quite small. We sacrificed space to live near the beach. So we never had an opportunity to have our own gym. We had a couple of spaces in one of the rooms where we kind of make use, but it was really tiny. But I wanted to actually share with you based on the experience of people have asked me over the years, hey, if I'm going to get this and I have this budget, what would you recommend? So I want to give you some tips for the best home gym setup that you can have. Number one, let's go through it. So first and foremost, you want to look at your space, right? You want to take a look at the space that you're going to build your home gym. Is it going to be an extra bedroom? Is it going to be a basement? Is it going to be your garage? Now, of course, you want to look at that space and know, okay, well, I'm going to have a little space, so you're not going to be able to fill it with, lots and lots of equipment. Of course, you want to look at the space that you have. For me, it's in a basement. We have quite a bit. I think the total basement square footage is about just under 700 square feet. But we are putting a bedroom, which is going to be more of a home office for me, and a bathroom. So probably about 400 to 450 square feet for our gym space. So we're able to put amount of equipment and we're budgeting for that. But as far as prioritizing the type of equipment, So you got to look at kind of what you've been using. If you haven't been exercising, maybe then you might not want to. You might want to start with just some basic stuff to have in your home, but looking at equipment that you're going to get best bang out of the buck. If you don't like to row, chances are you probably don't want to have a rowing machine. If you're not into the free weights, probably you don't want to put a bunch of free weights in your gym, right? If you like boxing, then you may want to put a boxing bag in your area, in your space, and hang a heavy bag. Like those are types of things. So you want to make sure that the space that you have is suitable, but then also the way I looked at it and approached it in our home gym design is I want to get bang for buck. So we have actually is the most I've ever spent on a home gym before. And to be honest, I'm really excited because when it does get cold here, instead of having to warm up the car and getting in and drive out to the gym, it's going to save me time. Also to have just the ability to walk down into the basement and go right to work. Get it done, get it in, get it out. Convenience is going to be really a big factor, and it's going to save a lot of time. But beyond that, before we get into those other things, you want to look at the equipment. So, you want to find things that are going to have multi-purpose. So if you're going to think about free weights, you're probably looking at, if you don't have much space, maybe look at some of those adjustable free weights. I know they make a bunch of different kinds, and I don't get any kickback from any of these. I don't do any advertising or ads on the show, but I can tell you I did use, I believe, I think it was either Nautilus or I can't remember the company, and they have basically selectorized. They have these dials you turn, and it allows you to adjust your home gym with your free weights. And they have those space saver kind of weights where you can adjust the weights, and it goes from anywhere from 5 to maybe 50, 75 pounds, maybe even up to 100. And you can just adjust the pin and take it off. I don't particularly care for those. So we're just doing more of what's called a hex dumbbell. And it's just 5 side. They're more like rubber, kind of what you might see in some gyms. And we're doing that. We have a little more space to do those things. I just like I like to feel the weight of the dumbbell and not the kind of adjusted things, kind of a little bit awkward. So again, if you can use some of that equipment ahead of time, you want to check them out. But you want to find stuff you're going to get multi-use out of. So kind of bang for your buck. One of the things you think about is if you are used to going to the gym, chances are you're not going to be able to fit all the things that you do at the gym. If you're used to using equipment and machines and free weights, you might not be able to fit all that stuff. So you want to find stuff that has kind of multi-purpose. You might want to have a mat. You want to look at, maybe if you're doing some strength training, you want to look at something that might be able to be versatile, a lot of different uses, something like a TRX, which is a great tool. You could do a lot of strength training from that. Doesn't take up a lot of space. You do have to have a sturdy anchor, but that's going to be really, really helpful. Of course, some of my favorite tools you can put in any home gym, foam roller, bands, those types of things are going to be great. A stretching area, just a mat, something like that is going to be really, really good and useful. So you want to make sure that you do prioritize your equipment. If you're thinking about doing some like bigger machines, like what we're doing, we're putting a cable machine. You've probably seen them if you've been to a gym anytime. They're adjustable. They usually have 2 arms on the sides. You can adjust them in or out, up or down. You can use one side or 2, lots of adjustments, lots of different types of movements that you can do with that. So those are like functional cable machines, those types of things. And they make some, I've actually seen, I've been doing a lot of research on them. They make some that fit pretty much in any house. They're really a good bang for the buck. You can do a lot of different types of exercises using a functional trainer or a cable machine. But if you can't, TRX is a great tool, and you can do a lot of similar things. You're just using your body weight as resistance rather than the machine that has weights attached to it. Cool. So then moving on from equipment, I think that gives you a good overview. Of course, you can set up a home gym if you have zero budget, or maybe you have a couple $100. If I was under $200, I would get some bands. I would get a foam roller. I would maybe get a battling rope if you had space for that, or a TRX. That would be really, really valuable. You can get a band you can put in a doorway. They're probably about $40-$50. So like under $200, foam roller, bands, maybe the mini bands. Those are cheap. You can get the bands that you put in a doorway. You can do a lot of things, a lot of movement, a lot of strength training things with that. You might have seen those TRX bands are like yellow and black bands. The majority of them are that color. And you see people doing like pulls and pushes and abs and things like that on there. We used to have them in our gym. They're around probably 120, 130 bucks. So you could kind of get away with having a pretty good home setup. Maybe a floor mat you can, roll out and use a yoga mat, 20, 30 bucks, pretty inexpensive on that. So that would be kind of on the base. And then you can go up to, from there, higher end stuff. And then you want to look at quality of equipment too. Now, I would recommend if you are getting, if you're going to be going up in your budget, let's say maybe $1,000 or, under a couple $1,000, and you're going to be investing in some equipment, you want to do some homework, do some research. If you can use them, if you want to go to a place, like we had a place here local that I found, great store. They just basically customize home gyms. They do some commercial gyms and stuff, but you were able to go into the actual showroom and use the equipment. And there is a noticeable difference if you start to increase your budget a little bit and you're able to, and you're able to invest a little bit more. You want to look at the quality. I'm always good on as far as quality goes. I've used equipment before, just the quality is just really terrible. A lot of stuff, try to have stuff that's manufactured maybe in the United States. I particularly like to do that if I'm going to be buying equipment. I know some of my stuff is, some of it isn't. But again, just knowing that you're also supporting local as well versus stuff that's shipped overseas, you don't know. Kind of like some of the stuff that's out there, it's inexpensive. You've probably been on a cheap treadmill before versus like some that you find in like a commercial gym. Unfortunately, a lot of those cardio pieces are very expensive treadmills. You could spend $10,000, $15,000 or more on a treadmill or a Stairmaster or an elliptical. If your budget isn't that big, you may not be able to get those things in your home, but you do want to try out the equipment. Look for the highest quality. You might even find some used equipment that was maybe more commercial grade if you're going to use it. Now, I'm anticipating that if you're building a home gym that you're going to use it. However, I've met plenty of people over the years. They have all the best equipment, spend thousands of dollars on home gym setup. They have a basement and they don't even use it. That would be a terrible thing to see, is to actually, build out a room or a space. You're going to do exercise. You have a treadmill or a rowing machine. You have some weights, maybe even put a little bit more money, and you got a Peloton in there and you got it all set up. And you have your bands and your stability ball and your BOSU and your foam roller and all that, and you don't even use it. So of course, quality doesn't even matter if you're not going to use it. But I would say for the person who's going to use their home gym and, on a regular basis, and that's why we decided to invest a little bit more, because I can't go honestly without probably more than a week without actually seeing some strength training, doing some workout stuff. And it's in my blood now. And if you're with me on that, then you know exactly how I feel. So quality of equipment is going to be very, very important. Again, most important thing when you're looking at it is if you can I wouldn't just go order online. I would definitely make sure that you get your hands on the equipment and you try it out. That would be very, very helpful. Also, like the place that we did, I actually have, when you purchase the equipment, you actually can return it or replace it, which was really great. So I can try it out if I actually get into using it. I was like, this really isn't really working really well in the space, or I don't really like the way this cable feels, or this. You can exchange it. You can trade it in and get a different piece of equipment. You're going to find those in a higher quality type of gym store that sells that equipment. I'd be very leery about ordering stuff online. You might find a deal. I did that one time during COVID. I found a treadmill. I just was looking for one to walk while I'm doing work, so I can actually do just to get some steps in. It was terrible. It was relatively inexpensive. It sounded really good on paper. I ordered it. It was a piece of junk and I could barely even fit on it. But that's what you get for I think it was like $300, $350. It was just a walking treadmill, but it was terrible. And it wasn't smooth. It was terrible. So I got what I paid for, and that, needless to say, I used it about 3 times and it ended up getting thrown out or donated, I think. So one of the other things kind of in that lines, you want also, if you're investing in your health, you want to make a plan. You want to plan out the space before you go out and pay. You want to actually think about type of exercise like we just talked about that you're doing, maybe visualizing how you're going to go about your routine. What we decided is we got some free weights. I have set up, I have a cable machine, and I have what's this, more or less, if you've heard of a Smith machine, or a squat rack with a Smith machine where it could do leg work and stuff. Kind of really bang for buck. I figured with those those three tools, essentially, I'll be able to really have a multi-versatile plan for workouts, have some free weights, have some cable, have some bar weights. I can use the Smith machine and the squat rack together. It's kind of a 2-in-1 combo. I'm able to do things like deadlifts and squats and stuff like that and have a good place to do those type of exercises. You do want to plan. So I planned out the space accordingly, kind of looked at design, looked at what I was going to look for. One of the things I'm not going to have is a TV down there. It's one of the things I can't stand in gyms today, or that there's TVs in them. I hate that there's news on. I don't like to see that. There's nothing but bad news on the news. And when that's playing in the gym, I just honestly, when I go to gyms now and work out, I look down, I listen to my own music, I kind of go in my zone. But you want to make a plan for yourself. Maybe you want to have news, maybe you want to have TV on, you want it to be kind of like a gym type of space. That's totally up to you. It's going to be your home gym. But I would make a plan, plan out your budget, plan out your space, your equipment, what you're going to use. Try to plan out how you're going to do your workouts in the space. Maybe you're using a spare room. Maybe you have kids next door, like in the next room over, and you got to kind of plan it accordingly. Maybe you're in your garage and you need to plan it out because the summertime gets really hot. So are you going to have circulation, ventilation, air in there? Or are you going to only use that in the wintertime when it's colder, that sort of thing? So you want to do some planning ahead of time. Be really, really helpful. Make sure you have enough room in the room to be able to move, to use the equipment. One of the things that we did, the equipment store actually does a little 3D design to make sure it all fits, which is great. Ultimately for us, it was a no-brainer because we were planning on that space in the basement to be used for a gym. If we didn't have that space, we have an extra room maybe that we would be able to use, but it'd be a lot smaller space, and we'd have to kind of configure it a little differently, probably have only one or two small little pieces in the room. And with that, so let's go into one of the next things. So looking at kind of lighting. So when you're in your space, I've been thinking about that for my own space. I want to have some nice lighting in there. Of course, you'll be able to see while you're working out. Aesthetically, it's, for me, I don't really like the big, bright LED lights, especially when you're lying down, looking up and those type of things. So you want to have some good lighting in your space. That's going to give you, put you in a good mood. If you're going to actually take the time to make one of your spaces in your home for the gym, you want it to feel good going in the gym. You want it to make it like, ooh, one of the things we did for our space in the actual gym area is going to be wood. So we have that kind of soft wood. It's going to be stained. We're going to have some good lighting in there. And now if you're in a garage, of course, you may not be able to, but you could probably do a little bit of paint maybe on the walls to kind of change the color up, make it a little bit more of a gym space. I had a client one time, I remember, that I worked with in the neighborhood in Florida where I lived, and he had his garage built out. Now he parked his cars in there, but he also had his gym, and he had the flooring. He did one of those kind of poured floors. And then he also put, actually, because it was in Florida, he actually put a separate air unit inside of the garage. So in the summer months, he's able to work out there and have it kind of air conditioned. So how nice is that to have an air conditioned space? And he had some free weights and he had some bands and a TRX, and we set him up right. And we did he had a bench and so forth. And it was a great space. He was able to even actually work on his golf swing in there, which is pretty cool. He had some simulator stuff for golf. It's pretty neat. And he had that all set up in his garage. But it didn't look like a garage except for the cars that were parked and that it had garage doors. But other than that, it was really a sweet space. And he did lighting. I think he changed up the lighting there, changed the color of the walls and stuff. Really important. Those types of things you definitely want to think about. Now, you might just be like, yeah, I just want to throw some stuff down on a room. That's totally cool. But I'm thinking if you want to kind of take that next step into making an investment in your space, maybe you feel self-conscious. Maybe you have a type of schedule that doesn't allow you to get in the car and drive to the gym, change, have to come home. You have to maybe wait for equipment, or if you're going to a class, you have to go at a certain time, or the gym's not open at the time you want to work out, those types of things. That's where the convenience of having your own home gym will come into play. Now, of course, I'm a bit of an organizer kind of person. So you also want to make sure that you keep things organized in your gym space. So you want to make sure if you have hooks, if there's plenty of companies that have places that you can store stuff on, a stability ball, racks, that type of stuff. You can get really fancy. You can have maybe your builder build some shelves as well to hold stuff on. Totally up to you. The sky's the limit on all that kind of stuff. But I would say is you don't want to have a gym that's going to be sloppy, even in your garage. Gosh, I've seen so many garage gyms, and the gym space looks nice, but the rest of the garage is a mess. And I don't personally think that I could get into working out and feel like I'm in a good space to work out, a good environment when there's like junk and old toys and lawn equipment. But I guess what you can do if you have all that stuff and you have no other space, you can keep it organized. Maybe it give you a good excuse to have that home gym is to organize your garage. And instead of actually, having all your junk thrown in your garage, that you actually make really good use of the space so you can build out a nice home gym. To be honest with you, you think about it on the cost wise, what you might spend on a gym for a few years, you can make back that cost and have your own space, have your own equipment, and you could probably save a whole lot of time. So one of the other things, of course, you want to look at is safety when you're placing equipment. If you're getting some stuff set up, you want to make sure, like if you're going to be attaching, say, a TRX to the ceiling, you want to make sure that it has a sturdy beam that you can attach it to, right? That's not going to pop out. If you're putting equipment up on walls, you want to make sure that stuff's not falling over. You just want to make sure that if you're going to be taking the time to try to improve your health, you don't want to risk or jeopardize your health by having stuff in the way. You might slip if there's, a messy garage or in a basement and you have your equipment all over the place. You want to be careful, especially like if I've seen a lot of people have basement gyms and they have there's just things like insulation that's just exposed. That kind of stuff. They might have paint and maybe aerosol products or gasoline because they keep their lawn equipment in the garage. You want to just be careful if you're working out and you're trying to actually improve your health and you're breathing in all the kind of toxic fumes that can be potentially harmful inside of your garage or even in your basement. You just want to kind of just pay close attention to those types of things. Of course, in flooring, this is another one. One of the things actually we budgeted for, we knew we were going to put flooring down in the basement anyway. So we just opted out to do more of a gym flooring because obviously having a gym, it's going to make space. And we did some research and found for us, we're using some interlocking rubber so we can actually move it. If we were to say move or sell the home and we wanted to pick that up and move it into another house, I know if you put down flooring, sometimes if you glue it down or if you nail it down, it's going to stay with the house. So a good thing is if you have the gym flooring, they have rollout kind, they have the interlocking kind. We opted for the interlocking. I didn't want to have the rollout kind. I had that in our gym when we owned it. We had about 5,000 square foot. And I remember actually putting that down. We glued it down so that it wouldn't move. And I remember it stayed there when we left and we sold the gym. But one of the things for your home, now you can just do, if you have a concrete floor in your garage or even in your basement, you can use that. It's totally cool. Maybe put some area mats down. You could do it on a budget. I think those area mats they have are maybe $50-$100. You can get a couple of those and they'll be perfectly fine. If you want to invest a little bit more like we did, we actually put in some rubber flooring throughout the basement and that space so we can really get a gym feel. I can't wait to actually work in it, hopefully in the next 2 weeks. We'll have it all ready to go and I'll be able to share that with you. And then my office will be down there as well, which will be great because I'll have a space that'll be just dedicated. This is more of a spare bedroom and that's why it's just kind of plain walls in the background. But it is working now for interim. I didn't want to wait until we got it done. I'm a ready go set kind of person. So if you're like me, then you want to do it the best you can and then just look to improve. And since I'm pretty new to the podcast space, in that time, I appreciate those you are listening. If you are watching, shameless plug, make sure you subscribe to the channel, share this if you found this valuable. Again, these are just some helpful tips. This is just more of just a flavor of the day, just to give you some helpful things to consider when maybe building out your own home gym in that respect. So a couple of things we have on our wish list that we're not going to put in yet to see our spaces. We might be adding down the road, and those are things you can do as well. But, if you do have flooring options in there, you want something that's going to have thicker. If you're throwing weights down, of course, you don't want to be ruining your floors. If you're in a bedroom or something like that, you want to just be mindful. The commercial grade, I think we're getting a 1/2-inch rubber flooring that are interconnected, and they're basically it looks like tiles that are interlocking tiles, and we'll have those down in the space. It'll be great. You can put the weights down, it'll absorb some of the sound, and it's going to be a nice space, kind of like what you would see in a traditional gym, in like a commercial gym. The next space would be the location. I think I've mentioned early on, but I want to dig into that. The location of your gym. Some of the things to consider. Now, of course, like if you only have one option, then you have one option. But if you have some options, what you can do is another option for you in the location of the gym. If you have a pretty low budget, if you have a band and some maybe kettlebells or some free weights or TRX, something like that, all of that stuff you could potentially have in a bag and move in different areas of your house. Maybe if you work out in the morning and the kids are all upstairs sleeping, you can maybe get your workout in downstairs. And maybe that's an option where you can just have your stuff in the living room. But if you have a workout bag, one of the other things you can consider is to have all that stuff and have it mobile. So you could potentially say you don't get a workout done in the morning when everybody's still upstairs in bed and they come home and the kids and the family are more in the living space downstairs. You can literally just pack it up and move it upstairs into one of the other rooms. So you can have like a backup plan for the location. I know some people have great mobile. In fact, when I did training in people's homes, I actually had a mobile personal training gym in the back of my car, and I'd take it from house to house and work with people that had some equipment, and I'd bring some equipment, and it was totally mobile, which is really great. And that's really good if you have a real busy family or you don't have a big space. You can take all that stuff. I know it's times where we've done workouts outside. In our last house, we had a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, but it was only 1,800 square feet. So it was quite small, and the bedrooms are small. There was space that was really small. So we would occasionally do workouts when our kids were younger. We'd do workouts in the living room. We'd actually take it outside in the backyard. We put the TRX to the tree or to one of our the trellis that we had. You can kind of hook it to there. And we did workouts kind of outside in the space. So we didn't have a garage in our last space. So we didn't even have that as an option. But it was great because it was super mobile. So we were able to move the equipment from room to room. And that's something that could be definitely a part of your planning if you have limited space or limited budget, those types of things. So other than that, I think the most important thing when you're considering a home gym, and regardless of how much you invest in that gym, one of the things you want to actually consider is if you're going to actually do it. And the best way to decide if you're going to do it is you got to understand your why. And once you understand, like my why is I want to be in the best shape of my life. I want to look great for my wife. I want to be able to do fun, exciting things. We moved to Colorado to be out in the outdoors, hiking, biking, kayaking, river rafting, snowboarding, and those types of things, mountain biking. I think I might've said that. All those types of things, be out in nature and want to be able to do that. So that's part of my why. So that's my driving force behind it. But once you have that established, then you also need a plan of how you're going to achieve the fitness goals that you want to achieve. So now one of the things that I see and reason why people struggle is that they have the desire. They want to get in great shape. They want to be able to fit in their bathing suit or look good naked for their spouse or have that confidence, get rid of the belly fat. They want to be able to feel like they used to, maybe in their 20s or 30s, and now life got away with them. They got really busy. Their body got away as their life got away from them. And they're really feeling miserable. They're depressed. They have no energy, all those types of things that I see and hear on a regular basis. And that's part of it. But then to actually achieve a difference, to try to improve and better yourself, to become not just braver, but fitter today than you were yesterday, you need to have a good plan. So it doesn't matter if you have a $20 home gym setup or a $20,000 home gym setup. If you don't have a plan in place, and the way to have a plan in place is to understand not just what you want to achieve, but how you're going to get there. And that's one of the things that I obviously, having the background that I do, I know how to build out plans for myself. But one of the things that I've seen, it's been such a breakthrough for so many clients I've worked with that have built in home gyms into their home, is that having the knowledge base and the skill set to understand, hey, if I get up at 5:30 in the morning, I know exactly what I need to do. If I have 3 days to work out per week, I know exactly what I need to do. If I am trying to fit back in my bathing suit in the next 3 months, I know exactly how much time I'm going to do workout wise and how much time I need to put in my day to get it done. That's truly the difference. I know the kind of food that I'm going to need to fuel my body so that I have enough energy to work out and get through the day, but also lose the 30 pounds that I've been struggling with losing for the last 25 years. Those are the things. Having that kind of clarity is truly the deal maker or the deal breaker. So if you want and you're thinking about building a home gym, I would actually probably preface and recommend that you figure out what is it you want to achieve, how you're going to achieve it, how you're going to develop the skills, who's going to help you with those, when you're going to get it done. Now, it sounds like a lot, but it really isn't, because once you get that established, then actually doing the work is just doing the work. The best thing that I know for the clients that I've worked with and over the years that have struggled with their weight and their health and their fitness, having clarity, having an understanding of knowing exactly what they need to do, exactly how much time they need to spend, having the accountability and support, being able to ask questions and get questions answered instead of just kind of winging it on their own. I mean, there's nothing worse than seeing people build home gyms or buy expensive pieces of equipment, treadmills, Pelotons, that stuff, and they just don't have a plan. And they just don't understand what they need to do to get in great shape. Their intentions were there, but the skill set wasn't. And that does take time. It takes effort, and it takes being intentional. And sometimes it takes getting the help that you need. So I know I'm only one coach. Of course, you can ask me how we do it and how we guarantee results for our clients, whether they have home gyms or no gyms or access to a gym, everything in between. But it truly comes down to when you're trying to achieve something, you want to find other people who've already been where you're trying to go. And then you want to find out what they're doing and then learn from them. So anyway, if this episode helped, this flavor of the day helped, I appreciate you for watching it. All I ask you to do is share the show, hit subscribe, really appreciate that. And chances are, if it's helped you, if it provided value, if you're trying to maybe build a home gym, if you have questions about your home gym or comments, I'd love to hear those. Just drop those down in the comments. If you have any questions or comments about that, if you want to learn more about building, you have more questions, you can shoot me a private message. You can send me an email, info@avensfitness.com. And I'd be happy to answer your questions about anything home gym related, equipment related, fitness related, nutrition related, anything or everything of the above. Other than that, appreciate you taking the time out to watch the Brave Today Show. And don't be a stranger. Hope to see you soon. Take care and God bless.